Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's video I'm going to be testing the new L'Oreal Paris Infallible More Than Concealer, which looks like this. Now I've got this in the shade 320 Porcelain, which is actually the lightest shade. Now before I get into the video, I'd just like to take one quick moment to ask you to please subscribe and turn the notification bell on. I create lots of beauty content related videos. Now as I said, I've got the lightest shade here, which is Porcelain 320, and this is what the concealer looks like swatched on my hand. This is the fairest one that they do. They did, I think the next one up was Eggshell, which wasn't that much darker. It just seemed like it was a bit more warm toned. But yeah, I thought I'd go with the palest one because I usually am the palest colour in any concealer or foundation. So I've just actually swatched the concealer next to two other concealers that I own so you can get an idea of the shade. Now this is the new L'Oreal Infallible concealer next to the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in 05 and the Collection Lasting Perfection concealer in the shade 1. Now as you can see, this new L'Oreal one is quite a bit lighter than the other two and it's slightly more pink toned. In here you get, I think it's 11 millilitres of product, and it's in like a big plastic tube with a doe foot applicator. Now this retails for £9.99 in Boots, which is where I picked it up today. At the minute I don't think you can get it in Superdrug in the UK. And yeah, so it's quite a pricey concealer for £9.99, but you do get almost double like the standard amount of concealer. Now before I get into testing the concealer, I'm going to actually apply the matching foundation, which is the L'Oreal Infallible Stay Fresh Foundation 24 hours. So it looks like this. Now I've actually got the older formula. To my understanding, they've recently reformulated it in line with this concealer, and it's basically exactly the same packaging, but it's got a sticker on it that says new like oxygen formula. So I think they have reformulated it, because when I checked the ingredients label on this and the ingredients label on the website, it seems that the ingredients have changed slightly. So yeah, this isn't the latest one of this foundation, just to let you know, but I do like this foundation. I've got the lightest shade in this, which is 015 Porcelain. So I've just gone ahead and applied the foundation as I said I would. As I said, I like this foundation. It's like a really nice sort of pale colour for me, and it's kind of like satin matte. I do have dry skin and I find that it doesn't like cling to dry patches, and it lasts a really long time, like it says 24 hours, so like it's very long lasting. I like it. So moving on to the concealer now, I'm just like looking up on the Boots website what this concealer claims to do, and I noticed that this comes in 25 shades, if you see here. There's quite a lot of light shades and maybe not as many deep shades as there is light shades, which is a bit unfortunate, but for a drugstore concealer having 25 shades is quite good. So I'm just reading up the claims of the concealer, and it's meant to be high pigment elastic formula that gives you ultimate full coverage finish with a totally lightweight feel, and it's meant to be really long wearing and undetectable. And this is a big claim here. It says it doesn't crease or settle into fine lines, which we shall see about that because 95% of concealers crease on me. So yeah, they're kind of marketing this as one that you can use for concealer and like contouring and highlighting, and so like that's why there's a lot of shades. Yeah, I think they're kind of trying to sort of make their own version of the Tarte Shape Tape or the Too Faced Born This Way concealer, in the sense that the packaging is very similar, like this large, you get a lot of amount and like the size of the doe foot applicator. So I've never tried the Tarte Shape Tape, but I have tried the Born This Way concealer, which I quite like. I wouldn't say I love it, but I like it, so I'll be able to sort of give you my thoughts on whether I think this is similar. It kind of smells like the foundation, to be honest. It's like, it's not overly fragrant, but it's got like a fresh sort of smell. Like, I'm not really sure what that is, like kind of like cucumbery, a bit fresh smelling, which makes sense because it's marketed as like a fresh look concealer. So yeah, I'm just gonna apply some of this, and oh, it's really thick. I've just noticed putting that on now. I feel like this is gonna be way too much. This is like one dunk. It's very, very thick. So I think I might do a triangle on this eye, and then on this eye I might just do some dots just to see, because it seems like it's like, I haven't dunked back in, I've just done a few dots because I think it's going to be really full coverage. So yeah, just as usual, I'm going to go in with my mini Real Technique sponge, and just blend this out. Wow, this is very full coverage. Like, as I'm blending, it's not like hardly moving the coverage away. And this shade is, wow, it's very pale for me. Like, I'm very pale, but like this is giving me like a very highlighted under eye effect, which depending on what you want might be a good or bad thing. I think I could have got away with going with that eggshell shade because that was slightly darker. But like, this is fine. It's very brightening. Now going in on the other side to see how less product fares. Now with what's left over on my sponge, I like to kind of take it over on my eyelids to sort of prime my eyes slightly. So yeah, just looking at it now, like I say, it's very full coverage. This shade is very light. The concealer is very thick. It seems easy enough to blend out. I think I'm liking this side better at the minute, the side that I put less coverage on, because I noticed like this concealer is quite matte, and where I've got dry skin and dry under eyes, where I've put more on, it's a little bit more cakey. Like, it doesn't look super cakey and disgusting, but it's just more cakey than the side where I use less. So I think with this concealer, definitely less is more. Don't do a massive triangle, like just dot some on. I'll zoom in and show you what I mean. Right, so there's no like filter on my camera or anything, so you can see what I kind of mean. Like, it's a little bit more crepey slightly than this side where I use less product. But I'm just going to actually go in now and add a little bit more just here where the dark circle is, just to see if this builds up nicely. Yep, so it seems to like build fine. It hasn't immediately creased, but obviously I do have some slight fine lines, so you can very slight see them. Yes, I'm just going to go ahead and set this down now with my e.l.f. finishing powder. Yeah, so that's gone ahead and settled quite nicely. If I zoom in again and show you what it looks like with powder on, this is what it looks like. So it's quite full coverage. It hasn't really creased like at the minute, which some concealers do crease on me straight away, so it's looking good so far. Also, where it's quite matte, this might actually be a concealer if you have dry skin and dry under eyes. Like, you won't even need a powder to set it. Like, it seemed to like settle down and not be like sticky or anything. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup and come back and give you my final thoughts on how this concealer's wearing. Okay, so I'm back and I've applied the rest of my makeup, and looking in the mirror right now, I'd say I quite like this concealer. Yeah, so as to whether this is like the Too Faced Born This Way super coverage multi-use sculpting concealer, I'd say that yeah, it is very similar. One, because obviously the packaging and the doe foot applicator, and two, because they're both sort of meant to be high coverage concealers. But I would say this, I prefer the L'Oreal one more, and the reason why, or the number one reason why, is this is much more full coverage. I found that the Too Faced one, although it claimed to be full coverage, on me it was like medium coverage, maybe like medium buildable, but like this is definitely full coverage. Like, even when I just done a few dots on this side, like it was still full coverage. So yeah, and the only difference I'd kind of say between the two is that this one is slightly more matte and therefore a little bit more drying, which depending on what skin type you have might be a good or bad thing. I think if you've got oily skin, you're going to much prefer this. You're going to really love this. I've got dry skin, so I think I would say, because this is so like matte and like like I said, it feels like you almost don't have to set it with powder. I feel like this isn't going to be my favourite concealer, but I do really like it, if that makes sense. Just because in order to be my favourite concealer, I prefer a little bit more of a hydrating formula. But I feel like this is one that's really not going to budge, because when I was blending it out, it was almost hard to move the product, if that makes sense. Not hard to blend out, but because it is so thick, like it's going to last. So I'll just zoom you in one more time to see what it looks like with the rest of my makeup on. So these are how my under eyes are looking. Remember, I did kind of put more on this side than this side. And like, yeah, look, it hasn't really creased, has it? So yeah, overall, I'm really kind of impressed by this concealer. And I think for $9.99, it's well worth your money. As to whether it's like the Tarte Shape Tape, I don't really know because I haven't tried the Tarte Shape Tape, but I might go as far to say yes, it is a dupe for that, because I've heard that people like the Born This Way concealer because they say it's slightly more hydrating and less matte than the Tarte Shape Tape. And like I said, as this was more sort of matte and less hydrating than the Born This Way, that's why it's making me think this might be like the Tarte Shape Tape, but I don't really know. So if you have tried this and you've tried the Tarte Shape Tape, and if you think they're similar, please leave it in the comments below and let me know, because I'd love to know. So that completes this video. Thanks for watching. I hope you found it useful, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn the notification bell on to keep up to date with more videos like this.